If you make a single payment of £100 into a savings account at 10% interest, then how do your savings grow? Well, after 1 year you will have £110, after 2 years £121, and after 3 years £133.10. There is a quicker way to do this calculation. After 1 year, £100 times 1.10 equals £110. After 2 years, £100 times 1.10 squared equals £121. After 3 years, 100 times 1.10 cubed equals £133.10. Imagine if you were borrowing instead of saving £100 at 10% over 3 years. How much would you pay back? Well, £100 times 1.10 cubed equals a total of £133.10. We have actually used the compound interest formula, where A is the amount paid back, B is what you borrowed, and I is your interest rate as a decimal fraction, and N is the number of years, in this case 3. If you borrow £100 at 12% interest over 3 years, then how much do you pay back? We calculate the amount using the compound interest formula. B stands for the amount that you have borrowed, and the interest rate was 12%. 12% as a decimal is 12 over 100 equals 0.12. We add 1 to that, and that becomes 1.12. How many years was the loan for? It was for 3 years, so it's going to be 1.12 cubed. So the final answer is arrived at 100 times 1.12 cubed equals £140.49 in total. If you borrow £300 at 16% interest for 4 years, how much do you pay back? Well, before going through this, you might want to pause the video and try it yourself. Okay, let's make a start. How much do we pay back if we borrow £300 at 16% for 4 years? So the amount paid back is what you borrowed. How much did you borrow? Well, you borrowed £300. And it's always times 1 point something. Depending on what the interest rate is, the point something may be different, and also depending how many years it is. But it's always £300, the amount you borrowed, times 1 point something. Okay, 16%. Remember, the percentage sign looks like 100 jumbled up, so we could write that as 16 over 100. 16 divided by 100 is 0.16. So the point something we know is 0.16. Now we just need to think about the number of years. So it's 4 years, so we have 4 of these 1.16s, or if you've got a scientific calculator, you could key it into the power of 4. So just to summarise, the amount you paid back if you borrow £300 at 16% for 4 years, well, we use the compound interest formula to calculate the amount paid back. £300 is what you borrowed, and it's always going to be what you borrowed times 1 point something. In this case, the point something depends on the number of years and the interest rate as a decimal. So £300 times 1 point something. In this case, the 16% is 16 over 100, which is 0.16. That's where that comes from. And because it's 4 years, there's 4 of them. If it's for 3 years, you would have 3 of them. If it's for 2 years, you would have 2 of them. So let's work that out. What does that work out on a calculator? £300 times 1.16 times 1.16 times 1.16 times 1.16 equals £543.19 is your final answer.